Well, the U.S. military continues to send a message to the Iranian-backed proxies in the Middle East. Here's One America's Monica Page.
Officials say the recent U.S. airstrikes we saw in the Middle East are only just the beginning of what's to come, following our response to the 3 service members who died in Jordan. Now, while this administration says it doesn't want conflict in the Middle East, is avoiding conflict a little too late? Joining me now is congressional candidate for Arizona's 8th District, Abe Hamadeh. Abe, thank you so much for joining us here. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan hinted that we will likely see more strikes in the coming days, both seen and unseen. Now, he also said he doesn't describe this as an open-ended military campaign. But would you say that we're already in an open-ended situation right now?
Unfortunately, the Biden administration's foreign policy has led us to this chaos and this disaster that we're seeing. You know, we haven't been aggressive enough. If you look back in October, after Hamas viciously killed and massacred over 1,300 Israelis in Israel, what was the United States' response? It was very, very weak. So it appears that Iran knows they are at war with the United States, but it's only because the Biden administration has allowed them to. There's no deterrence anymore, Monica. We seem to be advertising our military plans so they can move their weapons and their personnel so it doesn't cause as much damage to them. So I'm deeply concerned this administration does not know what it's doing. You know, who is really running the government, Monica? It's very scary. I think it's these deep state Obama holdovers that don't know what they're doing. And, you know, obviously Biden is not in control, but the rest of the world is going to take advantage of this and exploit our weaknesses right now.
It's absolutely concerning. And on the topic of Iran, I mean, Iran's been vocal about responding to our retaliation strikes. And, you know, while we haven't been fighting Iran directly, we've been fighting its proxies. But does this have the legs to become war with Iran directly?
Yeah, we have to be worried about that because it does seem like Iran is, you know, I don't think Iran wants a war on their soil, but Iran, what they're so effective at is these proxies. So, you know, the difference between this administration versus the last administration, the Iranians feared President Trump because they actually knew that there were consequences for actions. This administration seems to be rewarding Iran. When I was serving overseas, you know, with the U.S. Army, I was in Saudi Arabia under both President Trump and Biden. And I remember when Biden took office, he decided to delist the Houthis as a terrorist organization. But something that people may not know is Saudi Arabia was actively involved in a war against the Houthis at the time. So as much as this administration wants to try to, you know, they think they know what's going on and they want to avoid conflict, it seems like they're inviting more conflict. And that's what scares me because this can spiral out of control very quickly.
And Abe, on the topic of the Houthis, as we know, we're still launching these strikes in the Red Sea, attacking constantly these Houthis anti-ship cruise missiles. I mean, what's it going to take to stop these groups if we're not going to stop the head of the snake, that is Iran?
Yeah, well, we shouldn't have had Iran have a foothold in Yemen. You know, the Houthis have been around since the 1990s. It seems like now suddenly everybody's talking about them, but they took over Yemen's government in 2014. They are basically the Taliban of Yemen. So, you know, what Biden should have been doing was actually getting a lot more aggressive with the Houthis and these Iranian proxies, because at that point, Iran would know to back off. And it just goes to show you how incompetent this administration really is. They think you could negotiate with these people. And you have to understand psychologically how to deal with them. President Trump understood.
Right. And you mentioned President Trump's playbook. I mean, what should Biden be taking out of his playbook in order to be effectively deterrent here?
Honestly, I don't think Biden can reestablish deterrence anymore. Once you lose strategic deterrence, it becomes very difficult to gain it back unless you do something really disproportionate where then they start to fear you again. But now what Biden has done is he's lost that deterrence. So I think the only way for the United States to regain that deterrence is by having President Trump back in the White House, because at that point, the rest of the world will be unnoticed.
Abe Hamadeh, congressional candidate for the 8th District of Arizona. Thank you so much for joining us here on One America News. We always love having you.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.